In the grand tapestry of history, few eras are as captivating as the reign of Henry VIII, a monarch whose very name conjures images of opulence, grandeur, and the ever-turbulent tides of political intrigue at the Tudor court. His rule from 1509 to 1547 was not merely a period of significant change and reform in England, but also a time when the court itself became a stage for both the sublime and the ridiculous. The Tudor court, resplendent and echoing with the sounds of lavish banquets and spirited debates, was more than just a seat of power. It was a microcosm of the human condition, where every player had a role, none more intriguing than that of the jester. Jesters were more than mere entertainers. They were confidants, counselors, and at times the voice of reason and folly alike. In an era where speaking truth to power could be as dangerous as it was necessary, the jester wielded humor as both sword and shield. It is amidst this world of grandeur and peril that we meet one of the most famous jesters of them all, Will Sommers. Will Sommers, known for his sharp wit and disarming charm, was a man who rose from obscurity to become a fixture at the Tudor court. Born in Shropshire, Sommers' journey to becoming Henry VIII's trusted jester is one of both fortune and talent. It is said that he caught the eye of a nobleman who recognized his potential and brought him to the attention of the king. His ability to mirror the king's moods and his knack for knowing just when to push a joke and when to pull back endeared him to Henry, granting him a position of surprising influence within the court. Every morning, as dawn's first light crept into the towering windows of the palace, Sommers began his day with meticulous preparation. His costume, a vibrant tapestry of colors, bells, and motley, was not just for show but a tool of his trade, designed to capture attention and disarm those around him. As Sommers dressed, he listened intently to the whispers that floated through the court, news, gossip, and secrets that would fuel his performances and guide his interactions with the courtiers and the king himself. Humor, after all, was not merely about jest and laughter. It could be a subtle instrument of influence and persuasion. In a world where alliances shifted as swiftly as the Thames, Sommers' jokes could carry the weight of political commentary. His quips and jests often hid deeper truths, gently nudging the king's perspective on matters of state or personal interest. On more than one occasion, Sommers' humor swayed Henry's decisions, illustrating the delicate dance between merriment and diplomacy. As the morning unfolded, the great hall would fill with the aroma of a sumptuous breakfast, a feast worthy of the Tudor name. Here, amidst laughter and conversation, Sommers played his part, weaving through the tapestry of lords and ladies, his presence a reminder that even power must sometimes bow to laughter. His interactions with the courtiers were marquee, by quick wit and an innate understanding of human nature, ensuring that each jest landed with the right mix of levity and insight. The artistry of a jester lay not just in the jokes themselves, but in the performance, the timing, the delivery, the subtle nod to current events that made each jest resonate. Sommers had mastered the art of tailoring his performances, crafting jokes that would amuse Henry without crossing the line into offense, a balance that required both courage and intelligence. Beneath the layers of laughter, the court was a complex web of intrigues and scandals. Sommers navigated these with an agile mind, using humor to diffuse tension or underscore the absurdity of certain situations. Anecdotes of his handling of scandalous rumors or political disputes were legendary, showcasing his unique ability to address serious issues with a light touch, often providing a perspective that others dared not voice. This talent for insight and discretion forged a bond of trust between Sommers and Henry VIII. The king, known for his mercurial temperament, found in Sommers not just a source of entertainment, but a confidant who could offer counsel in the guise of comedy, soothing tempers and easing burdens with a well-placed jest. On afternoons when hunting, a favored pastime of Henry's, lured the court outside the palace walls, Sommers accompanied the king into the verdant landscape, the air filled with the sounds of hounds and laughter. Here, too, Sommers found his place, engaging the king with tales and humor that matched the wildness of the chase, ensuring that even on these excursions, the line between ruler and subject was softened by camaraderie and joy. The tools of a jester's trade were as varied as his performances. props, costumes, and instruments that brought life to his routines, each carefully chosen to enhance the entertainment value and capture the essence of his jesting art. These tools were extensions of his persona, amplifying the laughter and engagement that characterized his presence at court. As dusk fell and the court reconvened for the evening banquet, a grand affair with music and merriment, Somers seamlessly blended with musicians and performers, his antics a harmonious addition to the evening's revelry. His interactions were not limited to jest alone, but included collaborative performances that delighted and enchanted the court, uniting all present in shared amusement. Within this tapestry of courtly life, love and relationships wove their own intricate patterns. Somers, with a keen eye for the romantic entanglements and flirtations that abounded, often offered commentary that was both humorous and insightful, his jokes serving to highlight and sometimes diffuse the tensions of courtly love. As the day drew to a close and the candles burned low, Somers would retreat to his quarters, reflecting on the events of the day while preparing for those to come. This was a time for contemplation, a moment to recharge and consider the impact of his words and actions, recognizing the subtle power of humor in the delicate balance of court life. Will Somers' legacy, though born in laughter, is one of profound impact. His presence at the Tudor court shaped perceptions of jesters, not just as entertainers, but as vital components of the political and social fabric, their humor a lens through which the complexities of power were refracted. Somers' influence extended beyond his own time, leaving a lasting impression on how jesters were viewed in subsequent generations, a testament to the enduring power of wit. In reflecting on Somers and the era he inhabited, we are reminded of the importance of humor in leadership and the unique position jesters held, walking the fine line between truth and jest. Through Somers we see how humor, when wielded wisely, can bridge divides, offer comfort, and illuminate truths that might otherwise remain hidden. If you enjoyed this story so far, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. The reign of Henry VIII was one of both grandeur and turbulence, a period marked by a monarch who was as notorious for his 6 marriages as he was celebrated for his sweeping reforms and lavish lifestyle. Against the backdrop of the Renaissance, his court became a symbol of opulence and power, where the fusion of politics, religion, and culture shaped the very fabric of English history. Within this vibrant tapestry, amid the swirling silks and the clinking of goblets, there existed a unique character, whose presence was as essential as it was entertaining: the court jester. In the Tudor court, a jester was far more than a mere clown. He was a confidant, an entertainer, and a subtle commentator on the affairs that unfolded in the echoing halls of power. Among them, Will Somers stood out, cherished by Henry VIII for his quick wit and undeniable charm. It was not mere chance that brought Somers to prominence. His rise was a testament to skill, timing, and perhaps a touch of fate. Will Somers' mornings began not with the regal finery of a courtier, but with the familiar garb of his trade, colorful and mismatched, designed to provoke smiles even before he spoke a word. His routine was one of careful observation and subtle inquiry, gathering tidbits of news and gossip, which he deftly weaved into his performances. This morning ritual prepared him not just for jest, but for the delicate dance of court politics, where a well-placed joke could steer opinion more effectively than 100 speeches. The jester's influence in political matters was a paradoxical power. Humor offered a veil beneath which truths could be spoken without the immediate threat of reprisal. Somers understood this better than most, and Henry VIII relied on his insight more than history often credits. There are tales of Somers' jesting that swayed the king, softening his approach or guiding his decisions, proving that the pen might indeed be mightier, but the jester's quip was often the catalyst. As the first meal of the day commenced, the morning banquet was a spectacle of abundance, reflecting the wealth and might of Henry's reign. Here Somers took his place among the courtiers, his presence turning the meal into a lively affair. The interaction between him and the other nobles during breakfast was a dance of wit and words, with Somers leading the way, ensuring the king's day began with laughter and levity. Performances at court required more than mere jest. They demanded an artistry that few could master. Somers tailored his humor with precision, understanding the king's moods and preferences. His techniques ranged from slapstick to sharp satire, each delivered with a timing that kept Henry both entertained and engaged. This careful crafting of entertainment extended beyond mere comedy. It was a subtle art of influence, a way to maintain favor and navigate the complexities of the court. Navigating scandals and intrigues was an inherent part of life at court, and Somers was no stranger to these shadows. His humor served as both shield and sword, deflecting tensions and cutting through deceit with a well-aimed jest. Anecdotes abound of moments when his humor diffused potential crises, his laughter a balm that eased the court through scandalous storms. The trust Henry VIII placed in Somers was a reflection of their unique bond. In a court where alliances shifted like sands, this trust was a rare currency. On numerous occasions, Somers offered counsel wrapped in humor, his insights often saving the king from rash decisions or lifting the weight of royal burdens through mirthful diversion. Afternoons at court often led to the hunting grounds, where the king and his retinue indulged in one of their favored pastimes. Here, too, Somers played his part, his laughter echoing through the woods, adding a layer of camaraderie and joy to the chase. These outings were not merely for sport, but also opportunities for Somers to engage Henry on a more personal level, further solidifying their rapport. The jester's tools were as varied as his talents: colorful costumes, whimsical props, and musical instruments, each serving to amplify his performance. These instruments of jest were not mere accessories, they were extensions of his personality, enhancing the delight of his audience and adding texture to his art. When the day's light faded, the evening banquet was a grand affair, a culmination of the day's events. Here Somers took center stage alongside musicians and other performers, each contributing to the spectacle that defined Henry's court. The synergy between them created an ambiance of splendor and festivity, where the court's cares were momentarily forgotten in the thrall of entertainment. Courtly love and romantic intrigues were ever present, adding a layer of complexity to court life. Somers navigated these with his usual finesse, his commentary a blend of humor and insight that both entertained and advised. Through laughter, he diffused tensions, his jests a gentle reminder that love, like power, could be as fragile as it was intoxicating. As the day drew to a close, Somers would retreat to reflect on the events that had unfolded. The life of a jester was not solely one of laughter. It required a keen mind and a resilient spirit. As he prepared for the next day, he would contemplate the delicate balance of his role, standing at the crossroads of humor and truth, his place in history as uncertain as it was unique. The legacy of Will Somers endures, his life a testament to the enduring power of humor within the corridors of power. He influenced not only his king but the very perception of jesters, painting them not as fools but as essential voices in the symphony of court life. Through Somers, we learn that humor, wielded wisely, can bridge divides, uncover truths, and offer solace. In the broader tapestry of history, jesters like Somers remind us of the invaluable role of humor in leadership. As he walked the fine line between jest and sincerity, he proved that laughter could be a powerful force for unity and understanding. From the opulence of the Tudor court, his legacy speaks to us across the centuries, inviting us to reflect on the timeless power of humor in the dance of human affairs. As the sun rose over the lavish courts of Henry VIII, the Tudor realm awoke to the rhythms of opulence and intrigue, a world where power and pageantry danced hand in hand. It was in this grand theater of royalty and nobility that the jester emerged as a figure of surprising significance. In an era defined by its strict hierarchies and the weight of political maneuvering, the jester held a unique position, a curious blend of entertainer, confidant, and sometimes a subtle, yet influential political actor. Will Somers, the king's jester, was a master of this delicate art, navigating the court's labyrinth of allegiances and rivalries with a keen wit and a sharp tongue. Somers, with his bright eyes and quicksilver mind, became an indispensable fixture at the court, his reputation for clever repartee and charm preceding him. But how did a jester come to wield such influence in one of the most powerful courts in Europe? The answer lies in the very essence of his role. The jester, through humor, could speak truths that others dared not utter, using laughter as both a shield and a sword. In a time when dissent could lead to dire consequences, the jester's jest was a rare and valuable tool, allowing veiled criticism and subtle guidance to reach the ears of the monarch. Will Somers did not simply entertain, he observed. His mornings began with a careful gathering of news and gossip, his ears open to the whispers that floated through the court. In his colorful garb, adorned with bells that jingled with every step, he became a living symbol of the court's vibrancy and, at times, its absurdity. As he prepared for the day, donning his costume with the practiced ease of a seasoned performer, his mind was already crafting the jests and stories that would fill the air with laughter, each one carefully designed to fit the mood and temperament of the king he served. It was during the morning banquets, amidst the clatter of silverware and the chatter of courtiers, that Somers truly shone. His presence at these gatherings was not merely for amusement. It was an integral part of the court's social fabric. He moved among the nobles and the king with ease, his quips lightening the mood, diffusing tensions, and sometimes steering conversations with a deft touch. Within the mirth of his tales, there often lay a kernel of truth, a subtle reminder of the realities outside the gilded halls of the palace. In this environment, the jester's humor became a form of soft power, a way to influence without overt authority. Will Somers, with his sharp intellect and keen understanding of human nature, used his position to sway opinions and gently guide the king's thoughts. His jokes often carried more than mere amusement. They were carefully crafted messages that could alter perceptions and, on occasion, decisions. For Henry VIII, Somers was not only a source of entertainment, but a trusted advisor who could be counted on to speak candidly under the guise of jest. As the day progressed, the court's activities would shift to pursuits of leisure and sport, with hunting being a favored pastime of the king. Somers accompanied the royal entourage to the hunting grounds, his role once again multifaceted. Here, amidst the thrill of the chase and the camaraderie of the hunt, Somers' presence was a reminder of the court's more light-hearted side. His humor lightened the burdens of leadership, providing Henry with a reprieve from the weighty matters of state. Evening banquets offered yet another stage for Somers' talents. The grand feasts were a spectacle of culinary and artistic delight, and the jesters' performances were a highlight of the evening. Alongside musicians and other entertainers, Somers wove a tapestry of laughter and joy, his antics bringing smiles to even the most dour of faces. It was an act of delicate balance, ensuring that his jests never crossed the line from humorous to offensive, especially in a court where a misplaced word could have dire consequences. The intricate dance of courtly love and the complexities of relationships also provided fertile ground for Somers' humor. Romantic intrigues and scandals were ripe for his comedic touch, and with a well-placed jest, he could both comment on and diffuse the tensions that simmered beneath the surface. His humor acted as a balm, smoothing over moments of awkwardness and reminding all present of the shared humanity amidst the grandeur. As the day drew to a close, Somers would retreat to his quarters, reflecting on the events that had transpired. The life of a jester was not without its challenges. To be continually in the public eye, to maintain the delicate balance of humor and respect, was a demanding task. Yet, Somers embraced these challenges with a resilience that spoke to his deep understanding of his role. His evenings were a time for introspection and preparation, the jester considering the delicate interplay of humor and influence as he planned for the days to come. The legacy of Will Somers is one of enduring impact. His presence at Henry VIII's court demonstrated the essential nature of humor and power, a tool for diplomacy and a means of connection. Through humor, Somers bridged the gap between ruler and subject, his legacy a testament to the jester's place in the annals of history. His influence extended beyond mere entertainment, shaping the perception of jesters for generations, a symbol of the power of laughter in the halls of power. In the end, what we learn from Somers is the enduring truth that humor, when wielded with care and insight, is more than just a source of amusement. It is a profound force for unity, a means of bridging divides, and a testament to the complexity of the human condition. As we reflect on his life, we are reminded of the timeless power of a well-timed jest in the grand dance of leadership and life. Awaiting continue. In the heart of this opulence and grandeur, a figure emerges whose significance, though easily overlooked, is profoundly essential to the court's delicate balance. We step quietly into the life of Will Somers, the king's beloved jester, a man whose outward simplicity belies a mind teeming with wit and a presence that commands the subtle art of influence. Will Somers, whose very name conjures images of laughter, was more than merely a man of humor. He embodied the charm and cleverness required to navigate the treacherous waters of the Tudor court. Born into modest means, Somers possessed a natural gift for comedy, one that did not go unnoticed. His journey to prominence began with his sharp intellect and a knack for timing, two qualities which caught the eye of a visiting nobleman who recognized in him the potential to amuse royalty itself. Introduced to King Henry VIII, Somers quickly proved his worth, his quick wit and gentle demeanor endearing him to the monarch, who found in him both a source of amusement and a subtle adviser. Daily, as dawn's first light spilled into the lavish halls of the palace, Somers embarked on his routine, an intricate dance of preparation and performance. Each morning was a tapestry of activities, meticulously woven to ensure his readiness for the day's demands. His costume, a colorful array of fabrics meant to delight the eye, was carefully chosen not merely for its appearance, but for the tales it could tell. A bell here, a patch there, each element a tool for laughter and reflection. Beyond the physical preparation, Somers immersed himself in the court's whispered secrets and public discourses. A keen observer, he gathered tidbits of gossip and news, weaving them into his acts with a deftness that allowed him to mirror the court's own complexities back at them with a humorous twist. Yet, his role was not simply one of entertainment. In a world where words held the power to make or unmake alliances, jesters like Somers wielded humor as a political tool. With a jest, he could diffuse tensions or at times subtly steer the king's thoughts. His was a delicate balance of jest and earnestness, a tightrope walk across the intricacies of court politics. Somers knew well how to tailor his humor to Henry's shifting moods, a skill that earned him both the king's favor and the ear of those who sought influence through laughter. As the morning banquet unfolded, a spectacle of Tudor decadence, Somers took his place, a fixture amid the clinking of goblets and the sumptuous array of food. Amidst the jests and gentle mockery, his interactions with courtiers were a dance of subtlety and finesse. Each jest, carefully crafted, offered insight or critique, wrapped in laughter, a reflection of the court's own follies and triumphs. In these moments, Somers became both participant and observer, a mirror to the humanity of those around him. The art of jest was not simply in the telling of jokes, but in the mastery of timing and an audience. Somers knew how to read a room, to gauge the king's temper, and to tailor his performances accordingly. His repertoire, a blend of satire and slapstick, was an evolving tapestry, each thread a nod to the mood of the moment. In Henry, he found a complex audience, one whose favor could be as fleeting as it was fervent. Yet through humor, Somers maintained a rapport, a trust that allowed him the rare privilege of honesty under the guise of jest. Court life, with its intrigues and scandals, provided ample fodder for Somers's acts. The scandals that roiled beneath the surface were the raw material for his humor. In a world where words were both weapon and shield, Somers wielded them with dexterity, transforming potential conflicts into shared laughter. His approach to scandal was both bold and subtle, ensuring that while the court might be the subject of his humor, it never felt the sting of mockery. His unique relationship with Henry VIII was a testament to the power of humor as a bridge between king and subject. In moments of tension, it was Somers' jest that could soften the king's ire or refocus his thoughts. The trust forged between them was extraordinary, for in Somers, Henry found a confidant whose counsel was cloaked in comedy, offering wisdom without presumption. Afternoons often saw the court at leisure, with hunting being a favored pursuit. Here, too, Somers was a constant presence, his humor a companion to the thrill of the chase. Amidst the landscape of forests and fields, he wove stories and laughter, his presence a reminder of the court's humanity against the backdrop of regal pursuit. His role was not merely to entertain, but to engage, to remind those who pursued the hunt of the joy and folly of life itself. A jester's toolkit was as varied as his humor, each prop a key to unlocking laughter. From fool's cap to bauble, these instruments were extensions of Somers' craft, enabling him to transform the mundane into the marvelous. His command over these tools was such that they became an integral part of his narrative, each element a note in the symphony of humor that resonated through the court. The evening banquet was a grand affair, a stage upon which Somers and his fellow performers crafted a tapestry of entertainment. It was here that musicians and jesters intertwined their arts, creating a sensory experience that delighted and enthralled. Somers, at the heart of this spectacle, interacted seamlessly with musicians and performers, his humor the thread that bound their talents into a cohesive whole. In a court rife with romantic intrigues, Somers' comedic lens turned what could be tension into shared amusement. His keen observations of courtly love, transformed into humor, served both to highlight and alleviate the romantic dramas that unfolded within the palace walls. Through laughter, he offered a mirror to the lovers, a reflection that allowed them both to see themselves and to laugh at the absurdity of air passions. As the day drew to a close, Somers retreated to the quiet of his chambers. Here, amidst the solitude, he reflected on the day's events, a moment of introspection amidst a life lived in laughter. It was a time of preparation, too, for the morrow would bring new opportunities for jest and jesting. The emotional toll of such a life was profound, yet it was through this reflection that Somers found the resilience to continue his dance along the edges of courtly life. The legacy of Will Somers endures, a testament to the power of humor to influence, to connect, and to endure through the ages. His life at Henry's side redefined the role of the jester, elevating it from mere frivolity to an essential component of the court's rhythm. His influence can be seen in the generations of jesters that followed, each one echoing his mastery of the delicate art of laughter. As we pause to consider the significance of this singular figure, we are reminded of the vital role humor plays in leadership and in life. Will Somers, through his jests and his wisdom, offered a timeless lesson that in laughter lies a truth, a path to understanding and unity, even in the corridors of power. Awaiting continue. In the vibrant tapestry of Tudor England, where the echoes of minstrelsy and courtly intrigue intertwined, one figure stood out not by the sword or crown, but by the power of laughter and the art of jest. As Henry VIII's reign unfolded in all its opulent complexity, the court buzzed with tales not solely of politics or conquest, but also of a man whose sharp wit was as impressive as the jewels that adorned the king's garments. Amidst the swirling silks and whispers of the court, Will Somers emerged as a beacon of humor and insight. Will Somers, a name whispered with a mix of fondness and respect, wielded a weapon more potent than any sword, his tongue. He was a master of the spoken word, crafting jokes and jests with the precision of a skilled artisan. Born to a modest family, Somers' journey to the heart of the Tudor court was as remarkable as the legends that would later surround him. His ascent was not marked by lineage or wealth, but by the indomitable charm and quicksilver wit that captivated all who crossed his path. His innate ability to amuse and enlighten soon caught the attention of those in power, leading him to the grand halls of the royal palace. In the early hours, when the first light painted the cobblestones with a golden hue, Somers would begin his day with an array of preparations befitting his role. Donning the colorful motley, his jester's garb, he crafted not just a costume, but an identity. Each bell tinkling on his cap was a reminder of the role he played in the tapestry of courtly life. As he prepared, he absorbed the whispers of the court, tidbits of conversation, the echo of a misplaced word, each morsel of gossip, a potential seed for his performances. This daily ritual connected him to the pulse of the court, ensuring his jests always struck the right chord. Amidst the laughter and reverence, Somers held a unique, almost enigmatic position. He wielded humor like a double-edged sword, using it to sway opinions, influence decisions, and even challenge authority. As a jester, he possessed a rare freedom, a license to speak truths that others could not. Courtiers often watched in awe as his light-hearted quips subtly nudged the king's thoughts, influencing matters of state. Somers knew the delicate balance required to maintain favor, his wit sharp enough to provoke reflection, yet tempered with the skill to entertain and endear. As the sun climbed higher, the Tudor court came alive with the promise of a lavish breakfast, tables heavy with the bounty of the kingdom, succulent meats, ripe fruits, and the finest breads awaited the king and his retinue. In this setting, Somers worked his magic, the court's laughter resonating with the clinking of goblets. Amongst the ornate tapestries and glistening silverware, he flitted like a vibrant butterfly, his presence weaving a tapestry of mirth. The courtiers, jaded by the routine opulence, found in Somers a refreshing diversion, his jests a balm for the monotony of protocol. The art of gesturing required more than humor. It demanded an intuitive understanding of the audience. Somers, with his keen observation, tailored his performances to the king's mercurial temperament. Henry VIII, known for his formidable presence and shifting moods, was a complex patron. But Somers, with a deftness honed over years, crafted jokes that mirrored the king's thoughts or cleverly deflected potential ire. His performances were a dance of words, a delicate choreography that navigated the tightrope of royal favor and personal expression. Yet, the court was a web of intrigue, each thread delicate and perilous. Scandal and gossip were the lifeblood of courtly life, and Somers, ever the astute observer, turned these embroilments into the substance of his craft. He walked a fine line, transforming potential discord into comedic tales that disarmed and diverted. The scandals that could have sundered alliances instead became fodder for Somers' jests, his humor a salve that soothed tensions and deflected animosity. This unique rapport with the king was nurtured over shared moments of laughter and mutual respect. Somers's wit and wisdom earned him not only Henry's favor, but his trust. In times of tension, it was often Somers who diffused the danger with a well-timed jest or an insightful quip. Their bond was a testament to the power of humor as a catalyst for connection, where the jester, though seemingly frivolous, could gently steer the course of history. The court's diversions were many, and hunting was a favored pastime. In the rustle of leaves and the call of distant horns, Somers found another stage. Amidst the thrill of the chase, he entertained, his presence a constant reminder of the lighter side of life. His voice carried over the fields, punctuating the day's excitement with laughter, his stories and jests a counterpoint to the hunt's primal allure. In his arsenal, Somers wielded more than words. His tools were an extension of his persona, brightly colored costumes, props that added a physicality to his performances, and musical instruments that lent a rhythm to his tales. Each piece was integral, contributing to the spectacle that was his art, enhancing the joy and wonder of the court's entertainment. As day waned into evening, the grand banquet hall became the stage for elaborate feasts. Musicians, dancers, and jesters collaborated to create a tableau of sensory delight. Here Somers's role was paramount, his energy infusing the night with laughter. His interactions with fellow performers were a dance of camaraderie, each act a piece of the evening's narrative, designed to captivate and amaze. Within this world of grandeur, romantic liaisons whispered through corridors and gardens. The courtly love that flourished was a fertile ground for Somers' commentary. His humor, gentle yet incisive, offered a mirror to the passions and follies that played out in shadowed alcoves. His jests, though light-hearted, served to diffuse romantic tensions, turning potential drama into shared amusement. As night folded its dark cloak over the kingdom, Somers retreated to reflect on the day's echoes. The life of a jester was both a privilege and a burden, demanding constant creativity and resilience. Each evening, Somers would ponder the events, seeking inspiration for future jests, ever mindful of the delicate balance his role required. The laughter he provoked was a testament to his success, but it was in these quiet moments that he truly understood the depths of his influence. Ultimately, Will Somers left an indelible mark on history, his legacy enduring long after the court's laughter had faded. His role reshaped perceptions of jesters, elevating them from mere entertainers to influential figures capable of altering the course of events. Through his life and work, Somers taught generations the enduring power of humor, a force capable of bridging divides and illuminating truths hidden in shadows. As we reflect on the nuances of his life, we are reminded that jesters were more than just performers. they were conduits of wisdom, able to wield humor as a subtle form of power. Will Somers exemplified this, navigating the complexities of the Tudor court with grace and intelligence. His legacy endures as a testament to the enduring strength of laughter in the corridors of power. As the opulent tapestry of the Tudor court unfurled, with its gilded halls echoing the laughter and whispers of power, one figure emerged from the shadows of obscurity to dance at the heart of its grand design. Will Somers, a man whose wit was as sharp as the elaborate brocade of the king's doublet, found his place not by accident, but through a unique blend of timing, talent, and the ever-spinning wheel of fortune. Born to a modest family, Somers was not destined for greatness by birthright, but by the nimble acrobatics of his mind. It was said that his journey began in the bustling marketplaces, where the clamor of merchants and the vibrant chaos of street performers painted a vivid backdrop against which his character was owned. His ability to spin tales and craft humor from the mundane caught the eye of those who could see beyond the dust and grime of everyday life. His moment of serendipity arrived when a traveling nobleman, charmed by Somers' quick tongue and expressive antics, introduced him to the court, a world where the stakes were as high as the ceilings of the grand palaces. Once within the Tudor court, Somers' ascent was less a meteoric rise and more a carefully orchestrated dance. He observed the inner workings of the court with the keen eye of a fox, understanding early on that humor was not just entertainment but a vehicle for influence. The king, Henry VIII, a man of complex moods and whims, found in Somers a rare confidant who could cajole with jest what others could not with reasoned counsel. It wasn't long before Somers' presence became indispensable, his words a balm to the king's many discontentments. Mornings in the Tudor court began as the sun's first rays filtered through the diamond-paned windows, casting fragmented light upon the polished floors. Somers, rising with the dawn, would don his cap and motley, an ensemble as colorful as the array of personalities he encountered daily. His was a routine carefully crafted to maintain a pulse on the court's ever-changing narrative. Wandering the corridors, he listened intently to the whispers of servants and the idle chatter of courtiers, weaving these threads of gossip into the fabric of his daily performances. In the labyrinthine dance of court politics, Somers wielded his humor like a finely sharpened blade. With each jest and playful barb, he navigated treacherous waters, commenting on matters that others dared not touch. There was art in his delivery, a balance between levity and insight that could sway opinions and temper the king's notorious temper. In a court where silence was often the safe choice, Somers' voice rang clear and true. His influence felt subtly in decisions that rippled through the kingdom. As the great halls of the palace filled with the aroma of roasted meats and fresh breads, the morning banquet would commence, a spectacle in itself. Here, amid the clatter of goblets and the murmur of voices, Somers took center stage. His repartee with the VIII was legendary, a performance that lightened the early hours and set the tone for the day. Laughter was a currency of its own in these gatherings, and Somers spent it lavishly, earning the goodwill of those present. To captivate the king, Somers employed a medley of techniques, each tailored to the monarch's mercurial nature. His humor was a mirror to Henry's own desires and fears, reflecting them back with a playful twist that allowed for introspection without the sting of confrontation. It was a skill not easily acquired, requiring an acute understanding of the king's moods, a talent that only deepened the bond between them. Yet, within the splendor of the court lay a web of intrigue and scandal, a stage upon which Somers performed with deft skill. He had a knack for diffusing tensions with a well-placed joke or a clever turn of phrase. Each scandal was an opportunity, not just for entertainment, but to subtly influence the narratives that shaped the court's future. His humor, at once sharp and gentle, provided a lens through which the court could view itself, often leading to resolutions that might otherwise have remained elusive. The trust between Henry and Somers was a rare gem in a court where alliances shifted like the sands. This trust was forged through countless instances where Somers's humor bridged the chasms of misunderstanding and anger. There were tales of evenings where a light-hearted quip from Somers would ease the king's brooding mind, steering decisions away from the perilous to the prudent. Through laughter, Somers became an advisor of sorts, his counsel wrapped in jest, but weighted with wisdom. As the day carried forth, the court's attentions often turned to the pleasures of the hunt, a favored pursuit of the king. Here, amid the rustle of leaves and the distant cries of hounds, Somers was more than a jester. He was a companion in the king's revelry. His presence on these excursions added a layer of camaraderie, his jokes mingling with the sounds of the chase, invigorating the spirits of all who participated. In his arsenal, Somers carried not just jokes but a collection of tools, props and costumes that elevated his performances to art forms. Each item had its place, contributing to the spectacle that was his life's work. These instruments of merriment were more than mere accessories. They were extensions of his personality, amplifying his ability to capture attention and hearts alike. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the court reconvened for the evening banquet, a grand affair where the boundaries of social strata blurred under the influence of music and mirth. Somers, alongside musicians and other entertainers, wove a tapestry of sound and laughter that resonated through the halls. The interplay between performers was a dance, a synergy that elevated the evening's festivities, leaving even the most stoic of courtiers unable to resist a smile. Within this vibrant world, the complexities of courtly love added yet another layer to the jester's duties. With a keen eye for the absurdities of romance, Somers' humor often served as both commentary and critique. His ability to lampoon the loves and losses of the court softened the edges of romantic entanglements, providing a semblance of clarity amidst the chaos of the heart. As the day drew to a close, Somers would retreat to quieter quarters, where reflection and preparation became his companions. The life of a jester was one of constant reinvention, requiring not only an understanding of others, but a deep introspection. The emotional toll of his role was significant, yet it was a burden he bore with grace, finding solace in the laughter he inspired. Through his years at court, Will Somers left an indelible mark on the history of the Tudor dynasty. His legacy transcended the confines of time, influencing the role of jesters and the perception of humor's place in power. The stories of his antics and wisdom lingered long after his laughter had faded, a testament to the enduring impact of a life devoted to jest. In the grand tapestry of history, the enduring power of humor in leadership remains a theme as relevant today as it was in the corridors of Henry's court. From the legacy of Will Somers, we learn that laughter is not merely a diversion, but a profound force capable of shaping the course of events and human hearts alike. As the morning sun filtered through the ornate windows of the Tudor palace, casting a golden glow upon the stone floors, the day began to stir with the familiar symphony of court life. Among those rising to the call of duty was Will Somers, the king's cherished jester, who, though known for his quick wit and playful demeanor, undertook his role with a dedication as meticulous as any courtier or noble. His mornings were a carefully orchestrated routine, beginning long before the first courtier arrived at the great hall. Somers would awaken in his modest quarters, the simple furnishings a stark contrast to the opulence that awaited him in the royal chambers. Despite the simplicity of his room, it was here that he prepared for the day ahead, donning the motley that was both his uniform and his armor. Each piece of his costume, the bright tunic adorned with bells, the pointed hat that sat askew atop his head, was chosen with intention, a kaleidoscope of colors that acted as a beacon to the eyes of the court. With his attire in place, Somers would engage in a ritual of sorts, gathering the tools of his trade and the currency of his craft, the latest court gossip and whispers of scandal. He moved deftly through the corridors, his ears attuned to the chatter of servants and the murmurs of the courtiers. This information was invaluable, the lifeblood of his performances, allowing him to tailor his jests to the day's events and the moods of those he entertained. This ability to capture and reflect the court's undercurrents gave Somers a unique vantage point, a role not just as an entertainer but as an informal advisor, his humor often offering insights that sober words could not. It was a skill that required both intelligence and discretion, for a misstep could turn the laughter against him. Yet, it also afforded him a measure of influence, unseen but not unfelt by those whose fates danced at the whims of King Henry VIII. Thus armed with tales and tidbits, Somers would make his way to the great hall where the morning banquet awaited. The air was thick with the aroma of roasted meats and spiced wines, a sensory delight that set the stage for the day's courtly proceedings. Somers's presence was integral here, his role extending beyond mere entertainment. He was the thread that wove together the disparate elements of the court, using humor to ease tensions and bridge divides among the lords and ladies gathered at the long tables. As the king took his place, Somers would spring into action, his antics timed to coincide with the rhythm of the meal. He danced nimbly between the tables, weaving stories and jokes into the fabric of the feast, his laughter a welcome accompaniment to the clinking of goblets and the murmur of conversation. In these moments, his role was not merely to amuse, but to reflect the spirit of the court, his jests shining a light on truths that might otherwise go unspoken. His mastery of jest lay in the nuances of timing, and tone, each jest carefully calibrated to suit the ever-changing moods of King Henry. It was a delicate dance, one that required an acute awareness of the king's disposition and an ability to pivot swiftly, turning potential affronts into laughter with a deftness that few could match. This skill was perhaps most evident during the morning banquets, where the stakes were high and the audience discerning. Beyond the grand feasts, Somers's day was filled with encounters that demanded both his wit and wisdom. The court was a labyrinth of intrigue, a place where alliances shifted with the breeze and scandals brewed beneath a veneer of civility. Here Somers thrived, his humor a lens through which he navigated the complexities of courtly life. He approached these intrigues with the same sharpness that defined his performances, using laughter as a tool to diffuse tensions and offer subtle commentary on the court's machinations. In times of political unrest or personal turmoil, the king often turned to Somers, valuing the clarity that humor could provide. Somers' ability to distill complex situations into moments of levity offered the king a perspective unclouded by the formalities and fears that often accompanied counsel from those in power. This trust was a testament to the bond between king and jester, a relationship built on mutual respect and an understanding of the profound role humor played in governance. As the day progressed, Somers's duties extended beyond the halls of the palace to the hunting grounds, where the king and his court would partake in one of their favored pastimes. In these excursions, Somers's role was as much about companionship as it was about entertainment. He accompanied the king, his presence a balm to the rigors of the hunt, his jests punctuating the pursuit with moments of mirth. It was here, amidst the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a stag, that Somers's influence was most gently felt, his humor a reminder of the humanity that lay beneath the crown. Throughout these activities, Somers relied on a repertoire of tools, both physical and intellectual, to craft his performances. His costume, while a visual spectacle, was but one aspect of his artistry. Props such as baubles and masks, along with musical instruments, provided the means to captivate and engage, each item chosen for its ability to enhance the story he spun. These tools were extensions of his personality, each piece contributing to the tapestry of his act, an outward expression of the joy and insight he brought to the court. As evening descended and the great hall was once again filled with the echoes of revelry, Somers took his place among the musicians and performers, the night's entertainment a culmination of the day's efforts. In this space, his talents were amplified, his interactions with the musicians creating a symphony of sound and laughter that enveloped the court in a shared experience of delight. In the midst of this orchestrated chaos, Somers' presence was a constant, his humor a unifying force that drew the court together, his jests as much a commentary on the romantic entanglements that wove through the court as they were a reflection of the human condition. His ability to navigate these relationships with grace and humor was a testament to his understanding of the delicate balance that was court life. As the revelries came to a close and the courtiers retired to their chambers, Somers too retreated, his day closing with a quiet reflection on the events and encounters that had shaped his path. In these moments, he pondered the weight of his role and the legacy he crafted with each jest and gesture, a testament to the enduring power of humor in the corridors of power. The legacy of Will Sommers is not merely a tale of laughter, but a story of influence and insight, a reminder of the profound impact that humor can have on the course of history. In his life, we see the enduring truth that laughter is not just an echo of joy, but a beacon of wisdom and connection in the complex theater of human affairs. In the quiet moments of dawn, as the first light of day crept into the stone corridors of the Tudor court, Will Sommers awoke to the sounds of bustling servants and the distant clatter of kitchens coming to life. His chambers, modest yet comfortable, served as a refuge from the vibrant and often chaotic world of court life. The air, filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and the earthiness of burning wood, heralded the start of another day where wit and humor were his weapons and charm his armor. Sommers, with the practiced ease of a man well versed in the art of courtly life, began his morning routine. He donned his jester's costume, a garment that was as much a tool of his trade as the words he wielded with such skill. The vibrant motley, a tapestry of colors designed to catch the eye and provoke smiles, was a part of his identity, a visual representation of his role within the palace walls. Each patch of color, expertly sewn, reflected the multiplicity of his duties and the nuances of his character, a kaleidoscope of satire, storytelling, and subtle social commentary. As he fastened the bells to his cap, their cheerful jingle a herald of his approach, Sommers stepped into the role that had become second nature. Yet, beneath the jovial exterior was a keen observer of the human condition, forever collecting whispers of courtly intrigues and the sometimes scandalous exchanges that peppered the lives of the nobility. This mosaic of gossip and news would soon find its way into his performances, delivered with the deftness of a man who knew just where to tread lightly and where to push boundaries. His morning preparations involved not only the physical transformation into the king's fool, but also a mental alignment with the shifting politics and personal dramas that defined Henry VIII's court. Such was the complexity of his craft, an intricate dance of humor, diplomacy, and insight. Beyond the mere act of dressing, Sommers engaged in the equally important ritual of listening. He wandered through the labyrinthine corridors, an ostensibly innocuous figure whose presence was often disregarded by those engaged in more serious matters. Yet, it was precisely this unassuming guise that allowed him to gather the threads of conversation that others missed, the subtle inflections and passing remarks that would later become the foundation of his jest. As the court began to stir with life, Sommers made his way towards the great hall where the morning banquet awaited. The breakfast feast was not merely a meal, but a stage set for the day's interactions, a place where alliances were forged and rivalries subtly played out over platters of roasted meats and jugs of wine. Here, amid the clinking of goblets and the murmur of conversation, Sommers wove his way through the throng, greeting courtiers with a bow or a quip, each interaction carefully calibrated to draw smiles or laughter. The banquets were a daily spectacle of abundance and opulence, a testament to the wealth and power that Henry VIII wielded. Yet, beneath the veneer of excess was a world of political maneuvering and carefully crafted performances where every gesture held significance. Sommers, ever astute, understood his place in this tapestry, using his platform to influence and entertain in equal measure. In the midst of this daily ritual, he found moments to engage with the king himself, their exchanges a blend of humor and insight. Henry VIII, with his mercurial temperament and love of spectacle, found in Sommers not just a source of amusement, but a confidant whose jests held kernels of truth. The art of jesting was more than mere entertainment. It was a subtle form of influence, a way to guide the king's thoughts without the burden of formal counsel. As the day unfolded, the court settled into its rhythm, and Sommers continued to play his role, ever attentive to the shifting dynamics and unspoken tensions that defined the Tudor court. His humor, at times sharp and incisive, served to both entertain and enlighten, a reminder that laughter was not only a balm for the soul, but a tool of great power in the hands of a master craftsman. The afternoon drew near, bringing with it the promise of the hunt, a favorite pastime of the king and his courtiers. In this realm of outdoor pursuits, Somers found yet another stage, where his quick wit and lively antics provided a welcome diversion from the thrill of the chase. The hunting grounds, alive with the sounds of baying hounds and the rustle of underbrush, became a backdrop for his spontaneous performances. Each jest a carefully aimed arrow, each laugh a mark of success. The evening, with its grand banquets and elaborate entertainments, offered further opportunities for Somers to ply his craft. In the candlelit halls, where music and laughter mingled with the clinking of goblets, he performed alongside musicians and other entertainers, their combined efforts aimed at delighting the court. Here, under the watchful eye of the king, Somers's humor danced across the room, weaving together stories and satire with a skill honed over years at court. Romantic intrigues and whispered alliances provided ample fodder for his wit, each jest a mirror reflecting the loves and losses that define the court's social landscape. In these moments, humor served as both commentary and catalyst, a means to diffuse tensions and smooth over the inevitable frictions of courtly life. As the day drew to a close, and the courtiers retired to their chambers, Somers found a quiet moment to reflect. In the solitude of his room, he considered the day's events and the role he played in shaping them. Each jest, each laugh, was a thread in the larger tapestry of court life, a testament to the enduring power of humor in the corridors of power. The legacy of Will Somers, woven through the annals of the Tudor court, speaks to the unique position he held, a jester whose influence extended far beyond the laughter he inspired that ed into the very heart of the kingdom's governance. His life, a masterclass in the art of jesting, offers timeless lessons in the power of humor to transcend the boundaries of class and politics, to unite and uplift in a way that few other forces can. In this seamless blend of comedy and counsel, we find the enduring truth that laughter is not just an echo of joy, but a beacon of wisdom and connection, a reminder that even in the corridors of power, it is the jester's voice that often speaks the loudest. As the first light of dawn crept through the leaded windows of Hampton Court, a gentle bustle began to stir the sprawling palace to life. Amidst the soft rustle of silken garments and the first clatter of kitchen pots, Will Somers awoke, much like any other morning, to the chorus of early activity. The Tudor court was a complex tapestry of personalities and power plays, a theater of human ambition where roles were as crucial as they were transient. For a jester, each day unfolded like a fresh script, and no one knew this better than Somers. In the hushed moments before the palace awoke fully, Somers would begin his day not with the jest, but with the art of listening. The corridors, a labyrinth of whispers, told stories if one knew how to listen. Servants exchanging discreet nods, courtiers murmuring in corners, even the creak of a door could suggest an unfolding plot or an illicit tryst. Somers, with the practiced ear of a skilled bard, gathered these fragmented stories, weaving them into his repertoire with the deftness of a tailor piecing together a kingly garment. Each morning, before the sun had fully risen, Somers dressed in his customary motley, a patchwork of vibrant colors that symbolized not just his role, but his approach to the world. His cap, bells jingling softly, was as much a tool as it was an adornment, designed to draw attention or deflect it as the situation demanded. Yet beneath this colorful facade lay a keen mind, ever alert to the subtle shifts in the court's mood and the undercurrents of its intrigues. As he moved through the halls, he engaged with everyone, from the lowest stable hand to the highest-ranking noble. Through these interactions, he collected tidbits of gossip and news, discerning which threads held the potential to amuse the court without veering into dangerous territory. The art lay in balancing satire with sensitivity, ensuring his jests entertained without offending the delicate egos of those in power. The morning light, casting long shadows across the polished floors, guided Somers towards the bustling kitchens. Here he found not only the latest gossip, but the warmth of camaraderie. The cooks and scullions, busy with preparations for the day's meals, often provided him with a wealth of information. The kitchen's clamor was a symphony of clinks and clatters, interspersed with laughter and the occasional sharp reprimand. In this lively atmosphere, Somers honed his skills, listening as much to the words unspoken as to those that were. Once armed with the day's news, Somers joined the morning banquet, a grand affair that set the stage for the day's activities. The great hall, adorned with tapestries and filled with the aroma of roasted meats and fresh ale, was a microcosm of the court's hierarchy. The king, larger than life in his royal garb, presided over the table, a figure of immense power and yet surprisingly accessible to his jester. Somers, ever perceptive, knew that his value lay not only in his ability to entertain, but also in his capacity to reflect the court's dynamics back to its members with humor and insight. His performances, a blend of wit and wisdom, were crafted to resonate with Henry VIII's ever-shifting moods. With a jest here, a playful jab there, he navigated the complex interplay of alliances and rivalries, his humor a gentle prod to the pretensions and follies of the court. His role was not merely to amuse but to illuminate, to hold a mirror to the actions and attitudes of those around him, often revealing truths that others dared not speak. Through laughter, Somers could diffuse tension, offer counsel, or even sway opinions, his influence subtle yet profound. The king's trust in Somers was a testament to his unique position, a testament that few at court could claim. Henry, with his volatile temper and unpredictable whims, found in Somers not just a source of amusement, but a confidant, one who could tell him truths cloaked in humor. This relationship, built on trust and mutual respect, allowed Somers a rare freedom, a privilege he wielded with care and discretion. As the day unfolded, Somers found himself amidst the court's varied pursuits, hunting, feasting, and the constant maneuvering of its members. Each encounter provided him with new material, stories that would, in turn, fuel his performances. The art of jesting was as much about timing as it was about content, the ability to read a room and adjust his act accordingly. In the afternoons, he accompanied the king and his retinue to the hunting grounds, a stage set in nature's grandeur where his role was both to entertain and to observe. Here, amidst the thrill of the chase and the camaraderie of the hunt, he further cemented his place in the king's inner circle. His presence was a reminder of the lighter side of power, a balance to the solemn duties that weighed heavily on the monarch and his court. Evening banquets were a spectacle of indulgence and entertainment, where Somers' talents shone brightest. His performances, a collaboration with musicians and other entertainers, transformed the hall into a theater of laughter and joy. Yet beneath the revelry lay a deeper understanding of the human condition, a recognition that humor was not merely for amusement, but a means to connect, to heal, and to unify. As the day drew to a close, Somers retreated to reflect on the events that had unfolded, a solitary figure contemplating the intricate dance of court life. The jester's world was one of contrasts, a delicate balance between light and shadow, laughter and silence. Through it all, Somers remained steadfast, his legacy a testament to the enduring power of humor in the corridors of power. In the quiet of the night, he prepared for another day, ready to don his colorful costume and step once more into the role that had defined his life. The lessons he imparted through laughter would resonate long after the echoes of his jests had faded, a reminder of the unique position he held and the profound impact he had on the court and beyond. The power of humor, as wielded by Somers, was a force for unity and enlightenment, a legacy that endures in the annals of history. Awaiting continue. As we delve deeper into the corridors of power inside the Grand Tudor Court, the role of the jester unfurls with a richness that belies the simplicity of his colorful attire. Will Somers, a man of nimble wit and sharp tongue, held a unique place in the courtly hierarchy, one that allowed him to navigate the treacherous waters of court politics with a grace that could only be achieved through humor. At first glance, Somers was a figure of jest and frivolity, his face a constant mask of mirth. Yet beneath that facade lay a keen observer of human nature, astutely aware of the power dynamics that ebbed and flowed around King Henry VIII like an unseen tide. In a realm where courtiers jostled for favor beneath the watchful eye of a mercurial monarch, Somers wielded his humor as both sword and shield. His ability to influence court politics was subtle yet profound, not through overt manipulation, but through the clever art of jest. To understand his influence, one must appreciate the delicate balance he maintained, daring to speak truths wrapped in humor, truths that others dared not utter. His jokes, though light on the surface, were laden with insights that could sway opinions and alter the course of discussions around the great banquet tables and whispered corridors. Henry VIII, a king known for his formidable presence and shifting allegiances, found in Somers a confidant whose unassuming stature belied the depth of his counsel. On more than one occasion, Somers's quick wit diffused tensions that threatened to erupt into open conflict. His ability to transform potential disputes into bursts of laughter was not merely entertaining, but strategically valuable. In moments of political strife, when factions within the court vied for supremacy and the king's favor teetered like a precariously balanced scale, Somers' humor provided a common ground, a pause for reflection amidst the clamor of competing voices. This influence was particularly evident in the king's personal decisions, where Somers' jests often mirrored the reality that courtiers whispered about in hushed tones. His performances were not mere exhibitions of jest, but nuanced commentaries on the events unfolding around him. By encapsulating courtly gossip and political intrigue within the harmless guise of buffoonery, Somers could present his insights in a manner that entertained as much as it informed, thereby shaping the king's views with an artful subtlety. It was a dance of diplomacy, where the jester's laughter could tip the scales of power without a single word spoken in earnest. The morning banquets, rich with the aroma of roasted meats and the clink of goblets filled to the brim, provided an ideal stage for Somers to exercise this unique form of influence. As platters of delicacies were passed around and goblets clashed in toasts, Somers wove his way through the throng, his words a tapestry of humor laced with veiled truths. He moved among the courtiers, reading faces and moods, gathering snippets of conversations like a bee collecting nectar, ready to transform them into the honeyed repartee that would entertain and enlighten in equal measure. Somers' role in these gatherings extended beyond mere entertainment. He served as an informal advisor, albeit one whose wisdom was cloaked in jest. To the untrained ear, his quips were light-hearted distractions, but those who listened carefully understood the layers beneath the humor. In this way, Somers subtly shaped the narrative within the court, his influence growing with each jest that resonated with the king and his audience, subtly altering the political landscape. Such was the power of a jester in the Tudor court, a power that lay not in overt declarations or edicts, but in the ability to make the court laugh, to reveal truths that lay hidden behind the veneer of humor. Somers' legacy, therefore, was not just one of amusement, but of insight and influence, a testament to the enduring power of humor in the corridors of power. As day turned to evening, and the court's opulent splendor gave way to the private reflections of its members, the echoes of Somers' laughter continued to ring, a reminder of the subtle yet profound role he played in shaping the fate of a kingdom. The tools of a jester's trade were as varied as the roles they embraced. For Somers, a well-timed jest or the twirl of a baton was more than a mere trick. It was a calculated move in a grander game of courtly chess. His colorful tunic, bells jingling with each animated gesture, became a symbol not just of folly, but of the wisdom concealed beneath the motley. His performances were an intricate dance of humor and strategy, each jest a carefully placed piece on the chessboard of politics. In the great halls and intimate quarters of Henry's court, where alliances shifted as swiftly as the seasons, Somers' influence extended like the gentle ripple of laughter, leaving an indelible mark on the fabric of Tudor history. Thus, as the day waned and the court slowly settled into the evening's embrace, Somers' presence lingered, his jests reverberating in the minds of those he entertained and advised. The power of his humor, a timeless force that transcended the ephemeral nature of courtly whims, remained as a guiding beacon long after the laughter had faded. It is a testament to the enduring legacy of jesters like Somers, whose ability to speak truth through laughter secured their place in the annals of history, their stories a reminder of the unique power held by those who dared to wield humor as a tool of influence and change. Awaiting continue. The opulence of the Tudor court was more than mere spectacle. It was an arena where power and influence played out in intricate tapestries of human interaction, and where even a well-timed jest could ripple through the corridors of power. As such, jesters held a unique position. their whimsical jibes and clever wordplay wielded not merely for amusement, but as sharp tools capable of shaping political discourse. In this world, humor was an art form that could sway decisions and alter perceptions, a delicate dance of wit that required both finesse and courage. Within this context, Will Sommers, the king's jester, emerged not just as an entertainer, but as a subtle force in the machinations of court politics. His rise in the court was not merely a consequence of his comedic talents, but also his astute understanding of the human condition. Sommers possessed an uncanny ability to read the room, to sense the shifting tides of favor and disfavor, and to use his humor to navigate these turbulent waters. Every morning, as Sommers donned his costume, his mind buzzed with the latest whispers and rumors, carefully curated snippets of information that would later form the backbone of his performances. This was not mere idle chatter. In the hands of a master like Sommers, such tidbits became instruments of influence. A jest aimed at the right target could highlight a folly, underscore an important truth, or even prompt a moment of reflection from the king himself. Henry VIII, known for his mercurial temperament, valued Sommers not just for his ability to amuse, but for his candidness cloaked in humor. Jesters, unlike other courtiers, were granted a peculiar license to speak freely, to mask criticism with comedy, allowing them to tread where others dared not. Sommers, in particular, could broach subjects with the king that were otherwise deemed too sensitive, his humor serving as a gentle probe into the affairs of the kingdom. In the grand hall, as the morning sun cast its golden light upon the breakfast banquet, Sommers would weave through the crowd, his eyes ever watchful, his ears attuned to the court's subtle undercurrents. Here, amidst the clinking of goblets and the rustle of fabrics, he would begin his work. His quips and jests, while often humorous, carried layers of meaning, each tailored to the king's mood and the court's current intrigues. Sommers had a knack for transforming these gatherings into a stage where the power dynamics of the court played out, each jest strategically positioned to cast light on the day's pertinent issues. His influence was not always direct. Like a stone tossed into a pond, the effects of his humor often radiated outward, influencing perceptions and attitudes in subtle ways. It was said that Sommers could sway Henry's decisions by illuminating the absurdity of a situation, or by revealing the truth hidden beneath layers of courtly deception. In this way, the jester became a confidant, his humor a trusted lens through which the king could view his kingdom. As the day progressed and the court settled into its routine, the jester's role did not diminish. Sommers continued to navigate the labyrinth of court politics with deft agility. Whether through an impromptu performance or a carefully crafted skit, he employed humor to cut through the tension, to offer counsel without the pretense of advice, his wit a balm to soothe royal tempers, or a spark to ignite necessary change. In a court rife with intrigue, Sommers' ability to diffuse volatile situations became invaluable. There were times when a well-placed jest could stave off conflict, redirect attention, or even mend a fragile alliance. The court held its breath as he played this high-stakes game, where laughter was both his shield and his sword. As the hunting horns sounded, summoning the court to the afternoon's pursuits, Sommers continued his work, the open countryside providing a new backdrop for his comedic influence. Here, amidst the thrill of the chase, he entertained not just with his antics, but with pointed commentary that could shift the dynamics between courtiers, each interaction a potential political maneuver. His tools were simple yet effective, a fool's cap, a motley coat, a lute. But it was his mind, sharp and perceptive, that was his greatest asset. The court watched, unaware at times of the depth of his influence, seeing only the laughter and the lightness he brought. Yet, in the quiet moments, it was understood that Sommers, in his jesting, held a mirror to the court, reflecting its truths back upon itself. As evening descended, and the court gathered once more for the sumptuous evening banquet, the jester's presence remained pivotal. His interactions with musicians and other performers only heightened the spectacle, their combined efforts creating an atmosphere where even the gravest of matters could be softened by the art of performance. Through the laughter and the jesting, Sommers also engaged with the delicate dance of courtly love and relationships, his humor serving both as commentary and as a means to diffuse the tensions that often arose from romantic intrigues. It was a testament to his skill that he could navigate these treacherous waters, employing humor as both shield and sword once more. As the day drew to a close, Somers would retreat to his quarters, reflecting on the events that had unfolded and preparing for the challenges of the morrow. He understood better than most the emotional weight of his role, the delicate balance between humor and truth, and the profound impact of his art on those who wielded power. In the grand tapestry of history, Somers left an indelible mark, his legacy a testament to the power of humor within the halls of power. He was more than a mere entertainer. He was a counselor, a truth-teller, and above all, a master of his craft. Through the laughter he inspired and the truths he revealed, Somers proved that jesters held a unique position within the VIII court, their influence extending far beyond mere amusement. In this, we find a lesson for our own times, the enduring significance of humor as a force for reflection and change, a reminder of the power held by those who dare to speak truth to power through the guise of jest. Awaiting continue. As the court bustled with the ceaseless energy typical of Tudor opulence, Will Somers moved with an effortless grace that belied the nuanced understanding he possessed of the court's intricate dynamics. His role, though often misjudged as simple entertainment, veiled a deeper influence clad in humor and wit. The corridors of power were narrow and fraught with perilous intrigue, yet Somers maneuvered through them with the deftness of a seasoned diplomat, wielding his jests like a seasoned knight wielding a sword. His humor was no common tongue. It was an art form, a subtle dance that engaged the sharpest minds of the court, including the king himself. Henry VIII, a monarch known for his larger-than-life persona and mercurial temperament, found in Somers a mirror that reflected both the follies and the gravity of his reign. There were moments when the jester's quips cut through the heavy air of the council chambers, moments when courtiers held their breath, anticipating the king's reaction. Yet, more often than not, it was laughter, warm and genuine, that resonated. For Somers had the uncanny ability to shine a light on the absurdities of power without casting a shadow on its wielder. One such instance, often recounted in whispers among the court, was when Somers gently nudged the king toward peace with France. The tension had been brewing like a storm on the horizon, threatening to unravel the delicate web of alliances and animosities that characterized European politics of the time. Somers, with his characteristic flair, recounted a tale of two neighboring farmers who quarreled over a wandering cow, only to discover that their constant disputes left their fields barren. The king, caught in the ebb and flow of the narrative, chuckled at first, but soon pondered the deeper implications, leading to a more conciliatory approach that ultimately forestalled unnecessary conflict. The jester's influence, however, was not confined to matters of state. His sagacity extended into the personal sphere of the king's life, where few dared tread without risk of offense. Henry's marriages, a subject as sensitive as it was tumultuous, became the backdrop for some of Somers's most tactful interventions. During one particularly strained period, amid the discord of the king's courtship with Anne Boleyn, Somers crafted a delicate jest about the woes of a king who could never find the perfect queen. The jest, wrapped in layers of humor, carried an undercurrent of truth that prodded the king's conscience, planting seeds of introspection amidst the laughter. Somers's unique position allowed him to walk a fine line between truth and folly, a line that he navigated with the acumen of a seasoned statesman. It was this balance that endeared him to Henry, forging a bond of trust that transcended the mere theatrics of court life. The king, surrounded by advisors and courtiers who often spoke in veiled truths, found in Somers a confidant whose honesty was disarming, and its simplicity. In private moments, when the weight of the crown pressed heavily upon him, Henry would summon Somers not just for diversion, but for counsel that was as enlightening as it was entertaining. At court, where whispers of alliances and betrayals stitched the very fabric of political life, Somers' ability to diffuse tension with a well-placed jest proved invaluable. One particularly memorable occasion involved a heated debate between two rival factions over the appointment of a new bishop. As the argument reached a crescendo, Somers interjected with a seemingly innocuous comment about the folly of arguing over a sheep's clothing while ignoring the wolf beneath. The court erupted in laughter, the tension dissipated, and the king, with a newfound clarity, made a decision that balanced both sides, showcasing his jester's role as not merely an entertainer, but a facilitator of peace. Despite the levity he introduced, Somers was acutely aware of the gravity of his surroundings. He understood that the court's laughter was a double-edged sword, capable of swaying opinions and, at times, sealing fates. Yet his influence was wielded with a rare integrity, rooted in the understanding that humor, at its best, opens channels of communication and reflection that might otherwise remain closed. Through his jesting, Somers artfully highlighted the absurdities of human nature and the contradictions inherent in the exercise of power, providing the king and his court with a lens through which to view their actions and decisions anew. As the day waned and the court's activities drew to a close, Somers would find a quiet moment to reflect on the events that had unfolded. His quarters, modest in contrast to the grandeur of the palace, provided a sanctuary where he could lay aside the mask of the jester and consider the impact of his words. This quiet introspection was a crucial part of his routine, a time for him to prepare for the inevitable challenges of the days to come. In these moments, the jester found solace in the knowledge that his humor had, in its own way, contributed to the course of history. The legacy of Will Somers endures not merely in the annals of history, but in the timeless understanding of humor as a powerful instrument of insight and change. His life at the Tudor court exemplifies the delicate art of gesturing, where laughter becomes a bridge across the chasm of misunderstanding and a balm for the wounds inflicted by the harshness of power. It is a legacy that reminds us, even now, of the profound influence wielded by those who dare to speak truth to power through levity. Through Somers, we learn that humor holds the potential not only to entertain, but to enlighten, offering a mirror to society that reflects both its flaws and its possibilities. Awaiting continue. Within the walls of the Tudor court, the air was thick with the mingling scents of roasted meats and freshly baked bread as dawn broke, and the grand hall came alive with the soft clatter of preparations. The morning banquet was not merely an opportunity to satiate the hunger of those at court. It was a stage upon which the delicate dance of politics and camaraderie played out, and at its heart always stood Will Somers, the beloved jester, whose presence was as expected as the rising sun. A keen observer of the human condition, Somers understood the power of a well-timed jest, a word or two that could lighten the somber expressions of statesmen or bring a flash of warmth to the king's often stormy gaze. As Somers navigated the bustling corridors leading to the banquet hall, he absorbed snippets of whispered conversations, the latest gossip, and the occasional hushed complaint about the unyielding demands of court life. His ears, attuned to the court's pulse, gathered these fragments with the precision of a craftsman selecting his tools. Today, like every day, they would be woven into his performance, each word a thread intricately stitched into the tapestry of courtly life. At the head of the long, richly adorned banquet table sat Henry VIII, a man whose appetites were as legendary as his temper. The king's presence dominated the room, his every movement closely watched by courtiers eager to reflect his moods and whims. Yet it was the jester who often seemed to possess the subtle art of steering those moods, using humor as both shield and sword. As the king broke his fast, tearing into a slab of venison with the enthusiasm of a man who relished not just the food but the abundance it represented, Somers approached with an exaggerated bow that sent a ripple of laughter through the gathering. "Your Majesty," Somers began, his voice carrying the practiced inflection of mock solemnity, "I hear the French have begun to envy your table, though I suspect it's not merely the food that draws their admiration." Henry's eyes sparkled with amusement, a rare glint of levity that could transform the room's atmosphere in an instant. "Is that so, Will? And what else could possibly capture their fancy?" the king retorted, setting his goblet down with a soft clink. Somers leaned closer, feigning a conspiratorial whisper. "Why, your Majesty, it must be the irresistible charm of our good king, for surely no Frenchman could resist such company." The jest was well received, a simple play that acknowledged the king's charisma, while reinforcing the camaraderie that endeared Somers to his sovereign. Throughout the morning feast, the jester moved deftly among the assembled nobility, his presence a balm to the court's often tense atmosphere. He bantered with the queen, flitting effortlessly between jest and gentle flattery, his words a delicate balance that ensured he never overstepped the invisible boundaries of court decorum. It was a skill honed over years, of service, a dance as intricate as any performed by the nobility in their silken costumes. The courtiers, resplendent in their finery, indulged in lavish servings of eggs, sweetmeats, and pastries, punctuating their conversations with laughter ignited by Somers' jibes. Among them were those who maneuvered for power and favor, their ambitions cloaked in the guise of friendship. Somers, ever observant, noted these undercurrents, the silent exchanges and furtive glances that spoke volumes of the court's intricate web of alliances and rivalries. As the morning sun bathed the hall in a soft glow, Somers returned to the king's side, ready to entertain with a tale crafted from the morning's musings. "Sire, have you heard of the knight who was so deeply in love with his reflection that he mistook his own shadow for a rival?" he began, launching into a story that held the room captive, his voice rising and falling with the practiced cadence of a seasoned storyteller. The tale drew laughter and applause, its humor a thin veil for the gentle admonition against vanity and self-deception. In moments like these, Somers did more than entertain. He offered reflection and insight, disguised cleverly in the garb of humor. The king, well aware of the subtlety, appreciated the jester's art, for it was Somers who could speak truths where others dared not tread. With breakfast winding down, the hall gradually emptied, courtiers drifting away to attend their duties, whispers of plans and discussions trailing in their wake. Somers lingered, his presence a quiet reminder of the balance he maintained between whimsy and wisdom. His role was not merely to provoke laughter, but to mirror the court's complexities, offering a perspective that was at once enlightening and entertaining. As the clamor of the banquet faded into the background, and the king rose to address the day's concerns, Somers prepared for the challenges ahead. The morning's successes were but preludes to an afternoon filled with the demands of jest and diplomacy, yet he faced them with the confidence of one who understood the true essence of his calling. In the world of the Tudor court, where power and favor shifted like the seasons, Somers remained a constant. His laughter echoed through the halls, a symbol of resilience and insight, shaping not only the mood of the day, but the very nature of the court's discourse. As the echoes of the morning's merriment faded, the legacy of Will Somers endured, a testament to the enduring power of humor and its unique ability to bridge divides, soften hearts, and speak to the soul of an age. The vivid tapestry of Tudor life was never more colorful than during the morning banquet, a daily spectacle of opulence under Henry VIII's reign. Within the vast hall, where sunlight gleamed off polished silver and gold, courtiers gathered to partake in the morning's lavish feast. Tables groaned under the weight of roasted meats, fresh bread, and an array of fruits and sweets, their bounty a testament to the king's wealth and the prosperity of his court. Yet, among the jewels and finery, one figure stood out, not for his attire but for the boisterous energy he brought to the scene. Will Somers, the king's jester. As the courtiers settled into their seats, the air thick with the aroma of spiced wine and freshly baked pastries, Somers was already at work, weaving through the throng with a nimble grace that belied his role as a mere entertainer. His presence was a crucial ingredient in the feast, as essential as the food and drink themselves. With a quick wit and a sharp tongue, Somers brought laughter and levity to the morning, his jokes cutting through the tension of courtly politics like a knife through butter. His eyes, ever watchful, scanned the crowd, picking up snippets of conversation and the subtle glances exchanged between courtiers. Each piece of gossip and every whispered secret was a tool in his kit, ready to be transformed into a quip or a jest. Somers understood that the court was as much a stage as any theater, and he was both its performer and a master of ceremonies. The king, seated at the head of the table, watched with amusement as Somers moved from group to group, his laughter infectious, his humor an art form. The jester's role was not merely to entertain, but to break the ice, to encourage camaraderie among those whose alliances were as fragile as spun glass. His words, laced with humor, often held a deeper meaning, a subtle critique of the power dynamics at play. The morning feast was an event where courtiers jockeyed for position, their words carefully chosen to curry favor or to subtly undermine their rivals. In this charged atmosphere, Somers' jests provided a release, a momentary escape from the burden of their ambitions. With a well-timed joke, he could turn the tide of conversation, deflecting a potential conflict with ease and ensuring the king's mood remained buoyant. Today, as the platters were passed and goblets refilled, Somers approached the king's table, his presence commanding attention without uttering a single word. The courtiers paused in their chatter, eyes turning to see how Somers would engage the king. Henry VIII, a man known for his mercurial temperament, valued Somers not just for his humor, but for his uncanny ability to read the room, to know when to press a point and when to draw back. The jester's relationship with the king was one of mutual respect, each understanding the other's role within the court's intricate dance. Somers began with a light-hearted tale of a fictional misadventure involving a clumsy squire, drawing laughter from the assembled guests. But as he spoke, his eyes flicked toward a group of courtiers whispering furtively at the end of the table. With a deft twist, he turned the story into a gentle ribbing of the very guests who had been plotting, using humor to shine a light on their intrigue while keeping the mood jovial. The courtiers, caught in his verbal net, could do little but join in the laughter, their plots momentarily unraveled by Somers' cleverness. This was the art of the jester, to entertain while enlightening, to reveal truths cloaked in humor that might otherwise go unsaid. As the morning wore on, Somers continued to move among the guests, his presence a reminder that even in the heart of power, laughter held sway. His jokes danced on the edge of propriety, but his skill lay in knowing just how far to push, never overstepping the unspoken bounds that could lead to disaster. Meanwhile, the musicians began to play, their melodies weaving through the air, mingling with the laughter and clinking of cutlery. Somers joined them, his own voice adding to the chorus, a spontaneous song that captured the spirit of the morning. His verses, improvised on the spot, poked fun at the quirks of the court, each rhyme greeted with applause and cheers. In these moments, Somers was more than a jester. He was the soul of the gathering, uniting the court in shared joy. As the banquet drew to a close, the courtiers rose, their spirits lifted by the morning's revelry. The king himself, visibly pleased, nodded his appreciation to Somers, a silent acknowledgment of the jester's unique contribution to the court's harmony. For without laughter, without the lightness brought by Somers, the weight of ambition and intrigue might have suffocated the court's vibrancy. Somers, ever aware of his dual role as both entertainer and observer, absorbed the scenes around him. Each jest, every moment of mirth was stored away, potential fodder for future performances, or a means to navigate the court's shifting tides. As he left the hall, his mind was already turning to the next gathering, the next opportunity to weave humor into the fabric of court life, to ensure that laughter continued to echo through the halls of power. The morning feast, with its blend of indulgence and mirth, was but one chapter in the daily life of the Tudor court. Yet in these moments, Somers found purpose and place, his laughter a bridge that spanned the gaps between ambition and humanity, reminding all who heard it of the enduring power of humor to uplift and unite. As the sun's early light filtered through the stained glass, casting a vibrant tapestry across the great hall, the courtiers began to gather for their morning repast. The air was thick with the scents of freshly baked bread and roasted meats, mingling with the sounds of muted conversation and the clinking of goblets. Among the grandeur, Will Somers wove through the throng with an ease born of familiarity and purpose, his eyes ever watchful, his ears attuned to the subtleties of whispered exchanges around him. The court at breakfast was a delicate dance where alliances were forged and tested over platters of fruit and fowl. Somers, with his whimsical cap tilted at an angle, was more than a mere observer in this daily pageant. He was a trusted participant, a conduit through which news and humor flowed freely. His presence was an unspoken promise of levity and insight, ensuring a balm amidst the formalities of courtly life. As he approached the high table where Henry VIII presided, Somers' keen perception picked up on the undercurrents of the day. A fleeting glance between two nobles conveyed more than words could, hinting at the burgeoning tensions over a disputed land grant. Somers filed this snippet away, a potential fodder for jest that could diffuse or provoke, depending on the king's mood and the needs of the moment. "Ah, Will!" The king's booming voice cut through the chatter, warm and commanding. "Come, brighten our morning with your wit. What news do you bring today?" The courtiers turned their attention to the jester, their anticipation palpable, for they knew well the dual nature of his role, both entertainment and subtle commentary. With a flourish, Somers bowed deeply, his bells jingling in harmony with his movements. "Majesty, I bring tidings of a curious affair," he began, his voice carrying a playful lilt. "It seems the geese in the courtyard have taken to holding council, debating whether to fly south for warmer climes or stay and brave the frost. I've heard their deliberations are quite spirited." Laughter rippled through the gathering, the king guffawing heartily as he clapped Somers on the shoulder. "A wise bird indeed could learn much from such counsel," Henry remarked, his eyes twinkling with amusement. Yet beneath the jest lay an echo of their own deliberations, a subtle reminder of the constant political maneuverings that shaped the court's affairs. Emboldened, Somers continued, weaving tales that blended the mundane with the extraordinary, ensuring each courtier found themselves reflected in the humor of the morning. Here, he teased a young lord about his latest romantic pursuit. There, he skewered an older noble's vanity with a gentle quip, each jest carefully calibrated to entertain without causing offense. It was a delicate art, this dance of words, requiring a keen understanding of his audience and the fine line between humor and hubris. As the breakfast unfolded, Somers moved among the tables, his presence a catalyst for conversation and camaraderie. He lingered by the musicians who strummed lutes in a corner, sharing a barbed rhyme that left them chuckling as they adjusted their strings. He paused by the ladies, whose laughter tinkled like bells as he recounted tales of courtly love gone awry, his stories both a distraction and a mirror to their own intrigues. Yet his true performance was reserved for the king, his muse and his patron, whose laughter was Somers' ultimate reward. Today, the monarch was in high spirits, his appetite for amusement as voracious as his appetite for the rich fare laid before him. Somers, attuned to the nuances of Henry's shifting moods, crafted his words with care, navigating the whims and tempers of a ruler whose favor was as changeable as the English weather. As the meal drew to a close, the music swelled and the courtiers began to disperse, their conversations weaving a tapestry of ambition and alliance. Somers, his role for the morning complete, stood at the center of this vibrant courtly mosaic, his laughter echoing in the hall, even as silence resumed. The king looked to him once more, a satisfied smile playing on his lips, a testament to the jester's skill and the enduring bond between laughter and power. In the quiet aftermath, Somers found himself reflecting on the peculiar nature of his role. To be a jester was to walk a tightrope between irreverence and respect, to wield humor as both a shield and a sword. It was a mantle he wore with pride, a calling that transcended mere entertainment to touch on the profound and the political. In jest, there lay truth. In laughter, there lay release. The court, with all its pageantry and politics, was his stage, and on it he performed with a grace that belied the complexity of his craft. For beneath the fool's cap lay a shrewd mind, ever watchful, ever ready to turn wit into wisdom. And so the morning, with its blend of feasting and jest, gave way to the day's further exploits, the court resuming its ceaseless rhythm as Somers prepared for whatever came next. As the echoes of laughter slowly faded, replaced by the rustle of robes and the soft thud of closing doors, Somers remained, a solitary figure amidst the grandeur, his thoughts already turning to the next act in the grand play of the Tudor court. His laughter had served its purpose, a bridge spanning the gaps of the morning, yet the day promised more opportunities for jest and jesting, more tales to weave and laughter to inspire.